Hello and welcome. You are listening to the Gay with God podcast, a safe place for us to share our stories and support one another. How long did we know? What challenges did we face? Did we lose our faith? When did we find our way back home? Or are we still searching? The stories you hear on this podcast will melt your heart and strengthen your belief that in God, all things are possible, and you can be authentically gay with the God of your understanding. I am your host, Midge Noble, and I am very honored that you are here. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Gay with God podcast. I am Midge Noble, and I am your host for the Gay with God podcast. Today, I'm taping from our beloved Corgi Haven Lane. It's our sacred spot up in the mountains of North Carolina, and my beloved and I made that decision a long time ago that we were going to try to basically work and pay bills and do nothing but find a place for us to retire. And this is our spot, although we're not retired, so life is really funny that way. This is Memorial Day, and we honor and give reverence to those who chose to be on the front lines and however they served and died in the service of our country. So however you feel about war and however you feel about animals going to war, which really hurts my heart, and I know that that's my issue, I do honor and give reverence to those who have made that choice for our freedom. And as an animal lover, of course, I give very much respect for the animals who were killed in the wars that they have served in. So this is that time. And so my question is, why do we care? Why do we care about solving problems? Why do we care about what's going on? You know, there's some people that will say, you know, everything's going to work out. If you have faith, it's going to work out. Just trust God. Everything will work out. Well, if you look at the history of our life here on this planet, and there has always been disagreements among people, and a lot of times it goes into war and it can't be resolved by just good common sense or communication or give and take, and that has always been how things have been. Now, I hate that term, always been that way, because of course I believe that we can always find a higher level way of dealing with problems, and yet we haven't figured it out yet. And in this climate that we're in now, we look at another impending civil war. You know, we either vote for a person who has told us repeatedly, I will be a dictator on day one. I plan to, take women's rights away for health care. Already Roe versus Wade has been taken, and more restrictions are being put on health care, or they want to restrict more health care for women. We as LGBTQIA plus people know that we are in danger. We always have been. I hope that we won't always be, but we have what you would consider a fight on our hands. People have described it as a fight for democracy. And I align with that because I do believe that our democracy is in jeopardy. I believe that if given the chance, that Donald Trump absolutely will become a dictator and will absolutely destroy this country. Now, I don't mean to sound sensationalized, but I believe that's the truth. And so I want us to be really, really careful about why we care. I don't care that someone wants to have their way. I think we all want to have our way. And I am one of those people that like to have my way, and sometimes even believe that my way is going to be the best way. However, I also know how to negotiate, and I know how to back down, and I also know how to see somebody else's point of view. But nobody's seeing that right now. Nobody's seeing other people's points of view because we're based in fear right now, and that's a really terrible place to be. One thing that I do know is that when you're based in fear, you need information. You need good information. And one thing that we can care about is that there are people on the ground providing us with information if we know where to look. And one of the places that I have found that can give us good, solid information is Charlotte Clymer. Charlotte Clymer is really, really a good place to go to get information, and she puts it in a way that's not dramatic, and she posts things on her own webpage. So that's Charlotte Clymer, Clymer, and I would commend that to you. The other place that is a good source of information is Jessica Craven. And Jessica Craven is very knowledgeable and always puts some good news out there while she still is giving people ideas on how to be a little bit more proactive and things that we can do in order to take our own personal power into the world and see what we can do to change some things. Of course, the most important thing that we need to do is be able to vote. And today I made sure that I said to someone who was asking about why, all of these things are happening, and we talked about Christian nationalism. And then I said that, people are afraid to vote. They're afraid to vote for a person that they know is really not stable enough to be president of our country. And they're afraid to vote for someone who seems to be declining. Age shouldn't matter as long as you're still sharp and intact. And I believe that Biden is sharp. I do see the aging of Biden, and I understand that. But I want us all to remember that also a president does not ever serve in isolation. A president like Biden, who has chosen cabinet members and people in his executive council, he knows that he can trust those people, and he chose them specifically because they are experts in their field and because they can give him wise counsel. And so I don't want us to think that a vote for Biden is him in isolation. A vote for Biden is decency and intelligence and longevity in the political arena. And he knows people. He knows the other leaders. He served all that time with President Obama, and he was very active. And we know that he can handle this job. And if you really look at the facts, inflation and jobs and lots of it's really better off than they tell us that it is. Yes, there are still some high prices for certain things. And life is not going to be perfect. However, we are not in peril at this moment, but if there is another leader that is elected that wants to bring peril to us, then we will be. So why do I care? I can tell you why I care. I'm a woman, and I don't want any man to ever tell me what to do with my own body. I may never choose to have an abortion if I'm faced with that decision, but I still believe that I deserve the right to choose. I am a woman, and I live with a woman, and I'm married to a woman, and I want that to continue. I want to be able to continue to grow older. I can't say grow old anymore because apparently I'm at that line. Where when you check all the boxes, if you're going to order something, it says, are you in this age group or this age group? And the very last age group is like 65 plus. Well, I guess I'm already older. And that's what we had always said. I want to grow old with you. So now we're going to grow older with each other. And I don't want my marriage to be messed with. I don't want to be in danger of walking down the road any more than we already are. But it sounds like it's going to be so much worse if, Trump is able to come in and completely take away all of the rights, then that's scary. Just this morning, my wife told me about a place in Virginia that put out a hiring notice that said whites only. Oh my goodness sakes, people. Seriously? Now they did get in trouble with for that, but they had the audacity, and I just can't believe they had the kahunas to do that. Seriously. I mean, how how do you start the whites only thing already? But see, that's the mentality that a lot of people have right now, that they're going to, abolish women's rights. They're going to abolish all of this gay stuff. They're going to abolish civil rights. And if they're in office, they absolutely have a chance to do it. That's why it's important that if you choose to vote, and I hope and pray that you do, Do not be afraid to vote for Biden, because Biden does not stand alone. And Biden is surrounded by people that are a lot more ethical and a lot more global aware and a lot more people oriented than all of the people that surround Trump. Of all the arrests and the indictments surrounding all the people that he has served with and has chosen to serve with, I really hope that we don't have to go through that again. So, why do we need to care? Because if we don't care, if we don't take action, then we are handing over our rights, our neighbors' rights, our family's rights, our children's rights, all the rights of the marginalized communities, all the faith based folks that are out there that aren't the religion that Christian nationalism is going to endorse. We have given up. And y'all, I don't give up or give in unless there are no other options. And I think we have plenty of options. We need to educate ourselves as to what our rights are. We need to educate ourselves as to how to do a fight that is not one based out of anger and fear, but one based out of compassion and love for everyone else around us, including ourselves. Love is what's going to change the world. Love is what's going to matter in the end. And that's why war bothers me so much, because it's so not love. It's all about power and control. And I understand that. I do. I understand why we've gone to war before. I understand why we would go to war again. And I just hate to make those choices, right? I hate to be in the position of saying I would have to arm myself and try to protect my family. Would I? I probably would, but it would devastate me if I had to. I said to Sue the other day, we were talking about something that we had seen where I think it was on Facebook, and the meme said, "How would you feel if you were watching TV every night to see if your number came up on the lottery thing to go to the war and to be drafted?" And I said, I would have to be a dissenter, I think. I don't know if I could do it. I'm so frightened of loud noises, number one. I don't shoot well. I can't see well, so I might get a medical exclusion. But the point is, I just would be so devastated if I killed a person. Now, I've thought about it, planned it before, but I don't think I could ever do it. I just don't know if I could. I probably could. And what I'm saying is that if I did it, and I probably would do it if I was protecting my family, I don't want to be in that position. I don't want to do it. So we need to find a way to make sure that we're not going to have to make those decisions. And love is ultimately the answer. So, how do we love ourselves enough to educate ourselves, to be more aware, to be politically active, to sign petitions, to go out there and march in the rallies, to make noise? Because the more people that can make noise and smart noise, speaking facts, speaking the truth, the Christian nationalists will never come to our side. We need to just give that up. It's not going to happen. They will not change their mind. The conservative Christians, who, by the way, this is just a little commercial for you. I was told the other day that one of the free will um, churches named my podcast in a sermon because of, I'm a degenerate and I'm going to hell. But he messed up the words. He said it was Gays with God podcast instead of Gay with God. However, there were like 300, 500 people in that congregation, and they all heard that there was a podcast called that. And if they looked that up, they would probably find my podcast. And the one person in their church that had found my podcast and was searching for that, it was important to them apparently to find it. So there may be more people out there in that congregation in a very narrow vision of Christianity, if it even can be called Christianity. Those people will never change their mind. There is nothing I could say. Boy, I came up with all sorts of things to say back to that to some of the people who were making comments, but I thought there's absolutely no reason to waste my mind and my breath and my heart and soul on this conversation because they don't want to change. They're too afraid to change. We, on the other hand, have the power to create a safe space for ourselves. We have the power to create a place where we want to live in how we vote. Who do we want to put in office that is going to vote for our rights, for everybody's rights, and for a more productive, kinder nation? Because everybody's watching us and laughing at us because we are so bumfuckled right now. We really are. We just don't know what we're doing. And it seems like that. Although there are people, like Jessica and Charlotte who do know what they're talking about. Rachel Maddow knows what she's talking about. There are very wise people out there who are watching this and talking about it, and all we have to do is align ourselves with their energy and go out there and find how we can serve. Can we get somebody to the polls who doesn't know how to get there or can't get there? Can our churches get more active, in supporting the members in order to do that? I just believe that collectively there are more of us who love each other and want the best for each other than the ones who want to destroy every little bit of good in this country. And what I call good may not be what somebody else calls good. But for me, good is everybody gets a leg up. Everybody gets a chance. Everybody gets a do-over. And he had his do-over, and he didn't win. And he continues to commit crimes. So just go away and let us continue to try to make our neighborhoods, our communities, our world a kinder, gentler place, because that's what we're all looking for. We're looking for a place to live without being harassed, without being killed, without being degraded, without having someone say you can't even apply for this job, even though you're highly qualified, because you're the wrong color, or you're a woman, or you're gay, or you're trans. You don't want it to get to that point, and it's already headed there. That's why I'm so fired up this morning. Why do we care? Because if we don't care, we're in trouble. Now, I loved what Charlotte said in her speech. She went to, I think it was Iowa, and talked to people in Iowa, and she gave a really great speech, and she was very hopeful. And Jessica Craven, gave a lot of great news in her post the other day. So, look up these people, find these people that are telling the truth without sensationalizing it. And that kind of keeps us all grounded, but gives us direction. The other reason that we care is because that's who we are. We can't just give up loving people because we're scared. We can't give up loving people because we just want to harden our hearts so we don't hurt so much. Then we become like the people that we're upset about. They don't have the heart to have compassion. They don't have the heart to care. We collectively, when we care about something, we can change the world. And that's what we need to do. We need to care. We need to put out our best effort so that we can have the world that we all deserve. We have come so far, and yet way not far enough. There's still too many folks in our community who are killed for being LGBTQIA plus. There are too many black people being harassed while driving and being killed for being black and driving while black. And there's just not an answer yet for utopia because we're still on earth. It is our job, as I understand it, to bring the kingdom of heaven here. And that means we need to get us ready and we need to prepare the way. And we do that by being grounded in love, being grounded in the power of love, and loving ourselves enough to say, that's enough. We're not going to vote in a psycho that wants to be a dictator on day one. We're not going to vote in someone who's going to take away our rights, and we're not going to vote in someone that we can't trust. And he, you know, he has given us all the information we need to know who he is. And as Maya Angelou said, if somebody tells you who they are, believe them. And we have had a wealth of information. We know exactly who this person is. And it is up to us to choose love and compassion and strength. We don't have to be pushovers, people. We do not. We do not go down without standing up for ourselves. And having said all that, may I now break for a slight commercial and remind you of the Wild Goose Festival that's coming up July 11th through the 14th. It is a transformational community grounded in faith-inspired social justice. It's a one-of-a-kind gathering that brings together activists, artists, seekers from all walks of life to explore justice, art, spirituality, and community. I will be taping live at the Wild Goose Festival, and I will also be able to then upload that later for you guys to hear. So please come if you can and join us at Van Hoy Farms in Union Grove, North Carolina. That's July 11th through 14th. And to get a special discount code when you go to purchase your tickets because you are a Gay with God follower, you can go to the show page at empoweredmidge.podbean.com and get your special discount code, which will give you $50 off the price of an adult weekend ticket. And you can find that code and the Wild Goose website on the show page at empoweredmidge.podbean.com. Remember also to check out Jessica Craven and check out Charlotte Clymer and get in touch with people. Stay connected to wise counsel during all of this uproar that we have going on right now. As always, I appreciate you guys so very much, and I appreciate the fact that you love this podcast and that you share it. And for all of those of you who also still have a story to tell and you want me to honor your coming out faith journey story, please sign up to be a part of this podcast. And you can do that by going to empoweredmidge.podbean.com and scroll down all the way and see how you can connect with me and you can become a guest. Also, remember that on Facebook, I have a group called Gay with God, and we do a monthly Zoom group entitled My Faith Journey. We are really having a great time with that, and we've gotten some new members, and I appreciate you guys so much. And so please join that Facebook group, Gay with God, so that you can get the Zoom link for that group. I'm also still taking names for people who want to be in the next Gay with God book club. And if you're interested, email me at empoweredmidge@gmail.com if you are interested in being a part of that group so that you can be given the Zoom link for that. So it doesn't matter where you are in the United States or other countries. If you're willing to stay up late, like one of our beloved members, you can stay up late and be a part of all of the things that I'm offering for you guys. If you are listening to this podcast and are questioning whether you can be gay and be in a relationship with the God of your understanding, if you identify as LGBTQIA+, or not even sure if you're gay, God has always been within you, and even when you didn't know it, you have always been gay with God. Thank you, everybody. Stay tuned to see how you can join the Gay with God community, and as always, you are loved. I want to invite you to become a part of the Gay with God community. How can you do that? Stay connected by messaging me your thoughts and comments in the comment section under the downloads of the show on the Gay with God show page. Subscribe to this podcast wherever you listen and share so we can increase our community outreach and be a light to those who are struggling to claim their faith. Consider being a sponsor so I can highlight your service in our community. We are all worthy of respect and a relationship with the God of our understanding. I want to thank you in advance for supporting this podcast. Together, we as a community will keep this show visible and our community stronger. Deep gratitude to my friend Tim McClendon of Tim McClendon Music for allowing me to use an excerpt from Interlude 4, a song found on his CD entitled Sundance.